this small, abandoned foundry building in the city of Akron, Ohio, RBS Firestone first began the manufacture of rubber tires. From that humble beginning with a working force of 12 men, the Firestone Tire and Rubber Company was destined to expand into a vast industrial organization with plants and factories and offices in every part of the globe, building and enriching the economy of every nation in which they were located, and employing more than 70,000 people. On the 50th anniversary of its founding, and in memory of the one who had made possible this remarkable growth and development, the Firestone Tire and Rubber Company held a ceremony of affection for its founder and builder, RBS Firestone. Here on a gently rolling hillside in the city of Akron, Ohio, gather the many thousands of his friends to attend the unveiling of a magnificent memorial created in his honor. They've come from distant places, from neighboring cities and towns, from just around the corner. Scientists, wage earners, farmers, businessmen. People from every walk of life assembled in tribute to one of whom it was said, courageous leader and pioneer, he transformed a gift of nature to the benefit of all mankind. For this was a day of dedication, a day of great significance to the immediate family and close associates of Harvey S. Firestone. It was a day of recollection, recalling to the world the many outstanding contributions he made to its betterment and to the betterment of the America he loved. It was a day that spanned a lifetime of happy memories to his eldest son, Harvey S. Firestone, Jr., and now chairman of the company his father founded. Mr. Firestone introduced the opening event of the program.
Ladies and gentlemen, we open our ceremony today with the Singing of America by the members of the Firestone Choral Club under the direction of Forrest Hawk, Jr. They will be accompanied by the concert band under the direction of the noted American conductor, Howard Barlow, who has honored us with his presence today. One of the joys which father and mother and we children shared in common was the love of good music. We are delighted to have with us today Miss Eleanor Stieber of the Metropolitan Opera Company, who will sing one of father's favorite songs. It is mother's composition, In My Garden. Thank you, Miss Stevens. My brothers and I are gathered here with you to pay honor to the man who we were privileged to have as a father. And today, I should like to speak of him as a father. In this relationship, he possessed those rare qualities of greatness which distinguished him throughout the course of his life. Much of Father's lifetime was of necessity, spent in building the company which bears his name. When he founded the company on August 3rd, 1900, just 50 years ago today, he entered upon an enterprise that called for vision and courage and an unswerving confidence in the future. The struggle for survival was constant and ever present. The weeks and the months and the years took their steady toll of time and effort. His every waking moment must have been filled with a sense of heavy responsibility. His was the burden of the never-ending resolve to go forward, the determination to create for his company a position of leadership. These were goals of attainment which of themselves would seemingly occupy his thoughts and time, to the exclusion of all other things, perhaps even of his family. Yet looking back over those early years and the later triumphs, the picture uppermost in my mind is of a father whose devotion and attachment to his family was not one whit diminished by the business responsibilities that rested upon him. I remember my father as a man of infinite patience. He always had time for his children. He exercised an affectionate discipline over our childhood. He helped us in our schoolwork and tried to make us see the difference between learning and merely being taught. He gave us responsibilities, and along with them, the kindly advice and welcome encouragement needed to fulfill those responsibilities. He imparted to us the simple fundamental precepts of honesty and integrity, which guided his life and which, God willing, will always serve to guide the Firestone organization through the years to come. His memory and the memory of all he stood for shall inspire us to continue to build upon the firm foundations which he built so soundly and so well.
The founder of the Firestone Tire and Rubber Company would have taken a great personal pleasure in this 50th anniversary of his company. Not in the acclaims paid to his accomplishment, for he was a kindly and modest man, but in the arrival and welcome of the Firestone district and plant managers, who gathered early in the week from all over the world to participate in this memorable anniversary. These were his boys, many of whom had been his personal selection. He knew the men of his organization, and nothing pleased him more than the opportunity to be with them, to discuss their problems, to help them over the rough spots, to urge them on to ever greater goals of achievement, to enjoy with them the excitement and anticipation just such a homecoming holds for the men of Firestone. For this is a golden jubilee, an event of high promise, a time to greet old friends and welcome new ones, and happily exemplified in the reception extended by the administrative staff of the Firestone organization. Harvey S. Firestone, Jr. headed his executive group in the official greeting to the district and plant managers. And just as delighted to see everybody was Harold D. Tompkins, Vice President in charge of sales, as was James E. Traynor, Vice President in charge of manufacturing, and John J. Shea, Vice President in charge of finance, and John W. Thomas, Honorary Chairman of the Board, who cordially greeted his many old friends. Roger S. Firestone had a hearty hand clasp for all he met, and his brother Raymond C. Firestone shared in the pleasure of meeting these Firestone representatives from all over the world. Leonard K. Firestone appreciated their coming, and his smile of happiness showed it. And right with him in the joy of the occasion was his brother, Russell A. Firestone. Harvey H. Hollinger, treasurer of the company, had a cheerful hello for all. A pleasant assignment that was shared by Joseph Thomas, secretary, and Claude Pauly, comptroller of the company. These were hand clasps of friendship and of respect for each other's abilities, and pledges of confidence in the continuing success of their company and of their combined efforts to lift it to new triumphs. To the furtherance of that aim, morning and afternoon conferences were held for the purpose of acquainting the managers with the Firestone objectives for the coming year. Objectives that dealt with the new Firestone products and the proven merchandising approach in their display, their advertising, and their sales. Mr. Tompkins opened the conference on sales.
Much has been said about the Firestone franchise. I'd like to give you my reasons why I think it is the greatest franchise. In the first place, based on the money invested, it's the best money-making franchise in the automotive industry. It has no equal in the tire industry. It's the only franchise that is backed by a company that is sincere in its efforts to build a franchise for the independent dealer. It's the only franchise that a dealer can build with security and confidence for the future, because the record is clear of our interest in the independent dealer.
And that, as Mr. Tompkins continued, was the thinking of the founder of the Firestone Tire and Rubber Company. Harvey S. Firestone had been a small, independent businessman and knew from experience that the small businessman needed support and help. And he needed a supplier who was thinking about him and had his interests at heart. In support of that policy, continued Mr. Tompkins, Harvey S. Firestone never formulated a policy or program of any kind that was not for the best interests of the independent tire dealer. Sales were the keystone of the arch in his plan of organization, and to his district managers went the responsibility of an ever-increasing sales effort, no less true today than when he first enunciated the high standards of attainment that were to be followed. At the closing ceremony of dedication, around which all other activities centered, John W. Thomas, lifelong friend and associate of Harvey S. Firestone, reaffirmed to the district and plant managers and all assembled the business philosophy and credo of Mr. Firestone, namely that nothing was so good that it could not be made better.
To me, one of the most outstanding characteristics of Mr. Firestone was his indomitable courage. He was absolutely fearless. Through faith, he conquered fear. He was never happier than when he was called upon to meet a challenge. He infused into all of those around him this same fighting spirit. And he is always ready and to lead his men to victory in the never-ending battle of competition.
To meet that challenge of competition, Harvey S. Firestone built an organization that he liked to regard as his team of champions. They still are. Roy Cheney is on the team, been a regular for 28 years. Steady, dependable. He never fails his assignment. Jim Crisp is on the team. He's courteous, he's friendly, he's efficient. He builds goodwill for Firestone. Dr. Glimp is on the team, seeking through research to make Firestone best today, still better tomorrow. Joe Koch is on the team, resourceful, industrious, pleasant. He's alert to every sales opportunity, and every sale he successfully concludes helps to turn the wheels of Firestone production. Zin Gondis is on the team, He has patience and energy. In far-off Liberia on the west coast of Africa, he helped last year to ship millions of pounds of natural rubber for Firestone products. George Peabody is on the team. He has the skill and training that fits into the manufacture of synthetic rubber, and the skill and the training that makes him an invaluable member of the team. Ed Swinehart is on the team. He's one of the thousands of dealers representing Firestone in every community of the United States. He's a key member on an unbeatable team of champions. Let's call the roll. Mary Arburn is on the team. And Emery Drusen. And Bing Sweet. And Ike Swain. And Lee R. Jackson, president of the Firestone Tire and Rubber Company, is a member of the team.
You bet I'm a member of the team. Been on it a long time. Ever since I started as a salesman 38 years ago. And when I can't stand up there and take my cut at the ball, I want to carry water for the fellow that can. That's the way I feel about Firestone, and I know you do too. We're in a great business, and we're associated with a wonderful company. And believe me, we're going to do everything in our power to keep it just that way.
A 50th anniversary calls for many celebrations, and to observe it properly, there were many social functions held during the week for the district and plant managers. The noonday gathering on the rooftop terrace of the research building was a colorful high spot of this joyous Memorial Week, and the occasion for many reminiscent yarns of bygone days. Yes, these were times of enjoyment, and particularly so was the luncheon held at Harbell Manor, the home of Mr. and Mrs. Harvey S. Firestone, and the scene of many such get-togethers in Mr. Firestone's lifetime. Here, these men of the Firestone organization captured anew the pleasant recollections of earlier years and found the happiness that always attends the reunion of old friends and good companions. Yes, there was fun, and with it the deep-down glow of pride and satisfaction one felt in being part of the Firestone Company. They were in a key industry, perhaps the greatest business in the world. That's what Harvey S. Firestone would have told them. That here and now were opportunities that offered a continuing challenge to their ability and skill. That in their capable hands was a business that had grown great and would grow still greater with every passing year. He would have reaffirmed the Firestone pledge of always giving extra quality and extra value in both products and services at no extra cost. A policy that carries the assurance of Harvey S. Firestone, Jr., that no product bearing the name of Firestone will ever be placed on the market that has not his full endorsement and approval. Or that of his brother, Leonard K. Firestone, president of the Firestone Tire and Rubber Company of California. Or his brother, Raymond C. Firestone, vice president in charge of research and development. Or his brother, Roger Firestone, president of Firestone Plastics Company. And his brother, Russell A. Firestone, who, like his brothers, is a director of the company. All are actively engaged in the manufacture and distribution of Firestone products. And all, as these district and plant managers know, have pledged themselves to stand for the same high principles, the same high resolves their father brought to the company. To the continuation of the same high production standards that have made the name of Firestone synonymous with highest quality over the entire 50 years of their company's existence. Yes, Harvey S. Firestone would have heartily approved this gathering of his boys and their support and furtherance of his business philosophy. He would have liked, too, that in honor of the 50th anniversary of his company, a Firestone exposition of historical products and displays held atop the research laboratory was open to the public. Here for all to see was the old and the new, and the promise of what was to be. The early tire building machines, equipment of but half a century ago, and yet so outmoded in the rapid advance of tire manufacture as to seem of the days of antiquity. And this model of the first Firestone factory, workshop of the pioneers who laid the groundwork for the many Firestone developments that made transportation history, such as the first mechanically fastened straight-side tire, the first commercial demountable rim, the first angular rubber non-skid tread, the first pneumatic tractor tire which led to putting the farm on rubber, the first balloon tire and the revolutionary effect it had on tire development. Firestone was the first to put the farm on rubber, a milestone in the progress of farmers everywhere. And visitors to the exposition noted the advances that had been made in farm tires, from the early ones of plain design to the massive spade grip of today. They inspected the huge Firestone earth-moving tires that had contributed to the excavation work on the nation's important hydroelectric dams, airports, and highway building projects. They learned of the ship-by-truck movement which Harvey S. Firestone inaugurated in 1918, and which has had such a profound effect on the transportation of goods and products in this country, and indeed on the entire economy of the nation. The exposition offered a glimpse of the Firestone rubber plantations, established in 1926 in the Republic of Liberia as a result of the crusade of Harvey S. Firestone under the banner, "Americans should produce their own rubber." During World War II, these plantations were one of the few sources of natural rubber which remained open to America and her allies. The visitors to the exhibit found a fascinating display of rubber products developed by Firestone for an extraordinary number of purposes. Foamex for mattresses and pillows, for furniture and transportation seating, Contro-elastic yarn for bathing suits, girdles, and hundreds of other uses. They were pleasantly surprised at the items in daily use made of Firestone Velon film, of their patterns in many colors, and the complete practicability of each. As was true of the display featuring Firestone Velon Flex, and the beauty and durability it gives as an upholstery material for dozens of products essential to everyday living. They learned that Firestone Steel Products was the largest manufacturer of truck, bus, tractor, and farm implement rims in the world, that it made more stainless steel beverage containers than any other company, and that it is an important supplier of cabinets, parts, and stampings for home appliances. They saw the model store of the future as devised by the Firestone Store Planning Division. They were excited at the sight of the famous racing car driven to victory by Johnny Parsons in the Indianapolis race of 1950, and the Firestone racing tires that have won 27 consecutive victories at this greatest of speed classics. To anyone who has seen the terrific impact and strain of that grueling race, it must come to mind as a miracle of construction that tires could be made to withstand it. Thrilling and exciting, yes, as was all of this wonderful exposition, and the glorious anniversary week that held so many interests for the men and women of Firestone. And what happier surprise than to find the greatest show on earth had pitched its tents in the very shadow of the Firestone factories. And that is exactly what happened. In honor of their 50th anniversary, the Firestone Company brought the famous Ringling Brothers and Barnum and Bailey Circus to Akron, just as it was brought to other plant cities throughout the country, so that Firestone employees might see and enjoy this mightiest of spectacles. It was a gala event filled with the never-ceasing wonders that always seem to accompany the circus when it comes to town. the sideshow, and the little people, and the snake charmer, and Cracker Jack. Circus Day wouldn't be much fun without Cracker Jack. Or an ice cream cone. Mmm, good. And cotton candy for the customers coming right up. Say, this stuff tastes awful funny. Hey, fellas, look at the elephants. Gosh, real honest-to-goodness elephants. Oh, it's a wonderful day, all right. A day when there are no adults, just boys and girls and grown-up boys and girls. And balloons that will never, never break. Never? Well, hardly ever. Souvenir cane, little boy? Nothing like a souvenir cane to make you feel bigger. And souvenir hats. Every girl knows it's important to have a new hat, particularly a souvenir hat. It was a grand and glorious thrill, and especially to these underprivileged children of Akron, of whom there were many hundreds, and all invited by the Firestone Company to see the circus. The sound of the circus band heralded the exciting news that the performance was about to begin. A capacity crowd of 11,000 awaited the delightful entertainment they knew was in store for them. They were one of the 4 such audiences that attended the 4 shows given in Akron this 50th anniversary week, and welcomed on each occasion by their chairman, Harvey S. Firestone, Jr.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Firestone.
Good afternoon, men and women of Firestone, boys and girls. It's a very great pleasure for me to welcome all of you here this afternoon. A 50th anniversary is a very special celebration. When we tried to decide what kind of a party would be good enough, there was only one answer. What's more fun than a circus in which to share together the birthday spirit? I hope that you all have a grand time. And now, on with the greatest show on earth.
Here they come, the people from Never Never Land, place of enchantment where live the tallest and the smallest. And where dragons still survive. Dragons of many colors and pleasantly amiable, charming all and sundry with their good manners. And pretty girls, such pretty girls, from the village of Candy Stripe, paying homage to their good king, Peppermint. It's a gay Mardi Gras of fun and frolic, and comic page characters come to life. The little king, Mama and Papa Katzenjammer, and all the rest stepping out of the funnies to everyone's delight. Tumbling bears rolling over and over and seeming to get as much fun out of it as the crowd. Daring performances high above their heads. Perfectly trained horses standing in salute to the assembled guests. Never anything like it, was there, little girl? And the best things are yet to come. Like the pageant of loveliness with great shimmering floats drawn by the royal elephants of Her Majesty, the Queen of Beauty. And the clowns. There never could have been such funny clowns anywhere. Jokesters in pantomime. And if a laugh was what you needed, these fellows gave it to you. Their medicine was the kind that resulted in good, loud, long laughs, as everybody at the show can attest.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, one of the world's greatest feats of daring, DeRusso, the man who tumbles backward from a height of 45 feet onto a chair. Keep your eye on the ladder high atop the center ring.
only the beginning. Look who's coming. A happy reminder to Firestone folks of their golden anniversary. And high in the air, the breathtaking, pulse-tingling aerial acrobats. Let's watch them.
And now, in the center ring, the one and only Eunice, the most sensational act of this kind ever presented to the American public.
So much going on, one can scarcely see it all. 3 rings of happy time. And dancing colors set to gay rhythms. And sultry jungle chants patterned to a spectacle of colossal grandeur.
And now, the greatest high trapeze performer in the world. Ladies and gentlemen, Benito del Oro from Seville.
Pretty wonderful, wasn't it, little girl? A day to remember. An expression of appreciation to the men and women of Firestone was this testimonial of friendship offered to them by the company on the occasion of its 50th anniversary. A memorable week was this 50th anniversary. A week filled with business discussions, social gatherings, Brothers Circus. Unforgettable memories. But none so unforgettable as the ceremony of dedication that climaxed the events of the week, to which we have been recurring as the focal point of our story, even as it was the crowning triumph of a week that will always live with those who participated in it.
Especially appropriate for this occasion is the familiar hymn, "O God, our help in ages past, our hope for years to come." Miss Stieber and the Firestone Choral Club will sing it for us, while my brothers join with me in the unveiling of Father's statue.
Be thou my guide while life shall last. That was the spiritual philosophy of Harvey S. Firestone. No one knew better than his close friend, the Reverend Dr. Walter F. Tunks, how closely and devotedly Mr. Firestone adhered to the practice of his faith.
On the memorial we are dedicating today is this inscription: "He believed what the centuries said as against the years and against the hours." Only as we continue to serve ideals that will stand the test of time can we keep our nation brave and strong and free. As we honor the memory of our beloved friend, let us cherish faith that we live in a moral universe where the ultimate value is not matter, but spirit. May God raise up men like Harvey S. Firestone who possess the wisdom, courage, and faith to lead our troubled world into the ways of righteousness and peace.
Thank you very much, Dr. Tunks. Let us all now join in singing our national anthem, the Star-Spangled Banner.